Hey there guys, just a little New Year's Day treat from all of us at SteelChair. Me and Craig Hermit will be discussing our top 5 matches of the year, but first we have contributor James Toll, who would like you to know that his favourite match was DIY versus The Revival at NXT TakeOver Toronto. After being hindered by The Revival multiple times, them finally getting the win and becoming the champions felt like redemption for them. Ending the match with a double submission and moments like Johnny Gargano managing to get out of a submission that previously took him down were just one of the many moments that made this match entertaining as hell. And the Editor Supreme, David Garlick, would like you to know that his favourite match of 2016 was Alicia Fox versus Nia Jax. It was the only in-ring story this year that he felt truly invested in. And with that, me and Craig are going to take it away and we're going to give you our top 5 matches of 2016. Good evening everyone, it's your man of the hour, the Tower of Power, the living legend of professional wrestling punditry, and this is the SteelChair Shoot, and I'm here with my wrestling editor, Craig Hermit, to talk about our top 5 matches of the year. Craig, how you doing, son?
Hello, my friend. I'm doing good, my friend. How's yourself?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much. Yeah, I've yet to catch up with this week's Raw and SmackDown, so I still got all of that good stuff to look forward to. I probably won't even get to it until the weekend, but hopefully sometime after that, sometime on Monday or Tuesday, I should have the review for Roadblock up, because spoiler alert, everybody. We're recording our top 5 matches of 2016 before 2016's over, and we kind of figured we were comfortable doing that, as looking at the card on Roadblock, it would be an immense surprise if any of these matches actually make it into our top 5s.
Yeah, definitely. If I was going to look at the card, WWE would have to pull something directly out of the hat to bring to basically rival this list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So what we're going to do first then is we're going to roll off some of our honourable mentions. So Craig, if you'd like to go first.
Yeah, basically going to heading directly to Shine. So Shine released and brought out, it was Shine 38 a couple of months ago. Basically brought out one of their best events, which is Su Yung versus Kiara Knight. Destructive match. Anyone who ever thinks that women's wrestling can't be destructive, can't be hardcore, look this up in Flow Slam. This is certainly one of the ones. If you wanted chairs, candlesticks, suplexes on a bar, and basically thumbtacks on a bar, DDTs on a bar, and I'm talking about bar as in where you drink, or even a hanging. Yes, this is exactly what you want to look for. Other than that, we're looking directly back to WWE, which is basically looking at Battleground, which was Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. That was my honorable mentions. We're coming up again with AJ Styles and John Cena, hitting into SummerSlam. And then, going back to Rev Pro in London, which happened on earlier this month. I think it was in August, which was overshadowed by Kurt Angle versus Zack Sabre. But for me, that night, two people stole the show, which was Will Ospreay versus Mike Bailey. Certainly one to check up on their on-demand service.
Cool, and mine, I've only got a few here. Sasha versus Charlotte in the Hell in a Cell match. I thought it was a really great, really excellent I thought it was a really great, excellent women's match. I didn't necessarily think it was a great Hell in a Cell match, because I think WWE don't really do them anymore. WWE in this current climate they have of family-friendly orientation can't really get that. They can't go over and above like they used to be able to. In fact, I think after Mick Foley cemented the Cell's legacy, Vince McMahon reportedly took him to the back office, thanked him for the performance he just gave, but told him never to do that again. So I don't think we're ever going to get a properly great Hell in a Cell match again. But having said that, I thought that match was absolutely fantastic. And my other one is NXT DIY versus The Revival. Where DIY came away with the championships, which was just one of the most gratifying moments in all of professional wrestling that I've ever seen. So with that out of the way, guys, Craig, hit us with your number 5 match of 2016.
Yeah, going straight into Lucha Underground. I've gone for one that's more recent. It was Pentagon Dark versus Black Lotus Triad. That's easier for me to say. Now, those ones, literally, it was basically 3 matches in one. Going from the story, if you actually had it for Pentagon Dark, had certainly been a thorn all the way through to Black Lotus. And in doing so, the Triad was unleashed. And basically, all through by the end of season 2, we had seen the finale, which was just so superb. And bringing into season 3, the Triad was unleashed. And in this match at all, basically, Pentagon Dark was in the middle of the ring and challenged them, and Dooku was the first to arrive. And this was just brutal all the way. It was just one of the severe matches I've seen where people basically Dooku getting thrown through the chairs, against walls, series of palm strikes, slaps all across, and a diving forearm from the corner as well. And it was literally ending with the arm being broken from Dooku. But then after that, straight afterwards, without any warning, it was then Yuri, the next member of the Triad, to arrive. And this was just another amazing match, to say the least, as well. Exactly the same way before, and it was just been tagging in full, utter revenge mode, where he swore right at the beginning of the match to say that he will break every one of the Triad's arms. And in doing so, hitting up with a package pile driver, and then snapping the arm of basically Yuri as well. But then came the final one, where he had to take on the next member of the Triad, and it was the one he lost. And in doing so, his repercussion was the fact is that he had to get his arm broken. And at that point, and then the Black Lotus arrived and broke his other arm. And it was a phenomenal match to see, with Vampiro overjoyed inside and basically cheering as well, and saying that exactly. So this is just for me describing it. You're sitting there going, yes. And the fact is even in that you've got every match striker as well. Everyone's saying that all nightmares and every deeds come back to haunt them. And this was certainly one of those cases.
Oh, cool, man. Nice one.
Yeah.
My number 5 is Battleground, Owens versus Zayn, which is such a great match, because like the thing is with Owens and Zayn is that these are the kind of mid-card guys who back in the New Generation period, one of actually my favourite periods of wrestling, if you discount the things they were doing in the main events, when you had guys like Brett, Shawn, Razor Ramon, and even before them, guys with the Intercontinental title like Randy Savage, Ricky Steamboat, and Tito Santana, and these guys remind me of those guys so much in that they take being stars lower down on the card and they just do everything they can to make a really great match out of it. It's this simple storytelling throughout the match, the kind of which I think a lot of the guys from NXT are really excelling at, because of the tutelage of William Regal has been really great for them. That simple storytelling showing the real back to basic style of wrestling that has been so successful in NXT, that has been so successful in the Cruiserweight Classic. There's even a botch in this match that, to me, it looked like a real botch, but the way they seamlessly take Sami Zayn's injury, like his injured shoulder, and seamlessly integrate that into the story, I can't tell anymore whether or not he was supposed to hit the split-legged moonsault off of the top rope to the outside, or whether he was supposed to actually botch it, because that's how good that spot was. The crowd were on their feet. The crowd really went to town for these two guys. There was Owen chants, there was Zayn chants the whole way through. One thing I will say though, actually, seeing it this morning, as I was going through my notes, it didn't work quite as well for me, because some matches you just have to like be there in that moment at that time. You have to have been there in the context of all of the matches that Owens and Zayn have had previously to that point on Raw and SmackDown on NXT, to go through that story with them in like the real time in the weekly matches. So it didn't work quite as well as it did back then in terms of catharsis, and as well, knowing the ending, knowing that Zayn wins, also puts a bit of a dampener on stuff, because I remember watching this back in the day, and this was just a match where we didn't really know who would win. We had absolutely no idea, because there was no title on the line. There was no there were no real stakes apart from just the massive ending to this feud. And if anything, I was going to say that they probably would have gone with Owens, because they'd actually been building up Owens so much to that point that they had been taking Owens versus John Cena, for example. Owens winning the titles and the championships that he had won up to that point, and it seemed like WWE were really going strong with him. And yeah, but like for Sami Zayn to win, and not just win, but win in that like bitter, angry, twisted style where he not only haluva kicks him once, he haluva kicks him twice, and that was just such a fantastic moment of storytelling where Sami Zayn just finally, once and for all, puts the button on the rivalry between him and Owens.
Nice, man. Yeah, basically showing you how far he had to go to actually go to beat Owens. Certainly, just because that was me. I remember watching that match going, damn. And I think there's a whole bunch of other people, and going by social media in that time, it was just everyone going, this is a match that elevated both. This is a match that showed just how far these guys can go. And it certainly is, especially, well, should have been on honorable mentions. Sorry, guys, locked them out. But yeah, it definitely is one of those other ones. They're one of those matches that you can watch. You know what? I'm going to have to check that one out again, because you know what? I'm just thinking about it now, thinking, shit, man, I've got to check this out. But yeah, go for it, man.
Cool, nice one. So what was your number 4?
Number 4, bringing up more recently, we're going to Final Battle, Ring of Honor. Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole. Now, I'm a big fan of Ring of Honor. It's certainly made no hiding of that. And it's basically, this was a match I was waiting for a while, because quite frankly, this had been building since August this year. Now, O'Reilly made his return, coming back and interrupting Cole's title victory celebration when he became the 2-time Ring of Honor champion. And basically, it kicked off from there. And then it was destined to happen on this night. And it was just a match that any fan of Ring of Honor loved to see. I mean, if you were one super kick, so basically super kicks to the head while someone's head was in a trash can. I don't know if I want to spoil it properly for you, but basically, super kick, let's go with that. Who's it aligns to is Adam Cole, of course, and straight into the head of Kyle O'Reilly. But Kyle O'Reilly, not to be undone, hitting straight up with hard kicks while on the ring apron, and Adam Cole having to take the brunt of it. Next up, you're looking at back suplexes, straight off top turnbuckles onto tables, which is chaotic enough. But then you've got DDTs swinging off the ring apron onto tables all the way through. But not to mention the climax. Spoiler alert, guys. Yep, I think we already know what's going to happen is that Kyle O'Reilly does take the win, but it's how he does it, which is the cross arm breaker onto the tacks, which is brutal enough just to have tacks alone, but to complete a submission while doing so was immense. And that was just to see reaction, and basically every single Ring of Honor fan had been waiting on that ever since he debuted, after so much more stuff he's done, such as in PWG. But from debuting in 2009, it was great to see that happen, and the reaction as well from the fans.
So yeah, my top 4, and actually I'm looking at this now, I'm looking at my 4 and I'm looking at my 3, and I'm like trying to figure out which one I actually want in the 4 and which one I want in 3. I'm not sure. Oh, which one? Okay, here it goes. My number 4 is Ospreay versus Ricochet for the Super Juniors tournament. New Japan Pro Wrestling. One of the most athletic, almost balletic matches I've ever seen in my life. And while a lot of people might throw around the term ballet as if it's some kind of insult, I personally actually think it's a testament to those guys' athletic skill. Because, spoiler alert, people, ballet is bloody hard, and it ruins people's bodies, and it wrecks people's lives, and it's like there is a reason why Darren Aronofsky did Black Swan in response to The Wrestler, because they are two like similar forms of art, and there's no better illustration of that than Ospreay versus Ricochet, which is just two guys just absolutely like twisting and turning and flying in the ring with the grace of, you know, like a Baryshnikov or something. And a lot of people will tell you that this match was just a load of flippy stuff and that there wasn't any real story. I completely disagree with that. I think that the opening of the match was perfect, where they're testing each other out, they're feeling up each other. That sounds like it's a weird
Steady
way to
on,
put
mate.
that. Yeah, I'm not sure I should,
That's right up there with the comments of going man on man. That's right up there with that. Right, just to clarify, people, for everyone's listening, there's nothing wrong with that. It's all good. But quite frankly, the word of choosing, the phrasing, guys. If you're an Archer fan, we're all shouting I like phrasing right now. We're going with that right now. So phrasing, that's it. When we come up with any choices like that, we're going with phrasing.
I hope you guys do phrasing. Yeah, like okay, right. So yeah, they're getting a feel for each other is what I probably should have said. When they're testing each other's strength, when they're testing each other's athletic ability, and then all of a sudden you sort of see that, oh, okay, these guys are very evenly matched, which annoys Ricochet, because Ricochet's the big, arrogant star, and he wants to be the one who flattens Ospreay's face into the mat. And Ospreay just plays the guy who, despite everything that Ricochet does to him, just will not lose. And it's about the guy who's the king of the world and out to prove it against the guy who just won't quit. And it's the guy who just won't quit who wins in the end. And all that time that they're telling that story, the violence is steadily escalating, and Ricochet's arrogance is growing, and Ospreay's patience is really wearing thin. And also the fact that this crowned the first British winner of the Super Juniors tournament, that didn't hurt my decision either.
Well, Ospreay basically, becoming the first one. Yeah, it was, to be blunt and honest, I think that was an amazing feat. I mean, many UK fans or anyone who had actually seen the Repro or Progress beforehand knew he was going to be something more. We knew he was going to be something a whole lot bigger. I mean, We watched it. I may remember watching. I think it was the second or third row when it was a Super Strong Style 16 from 2015, and anyone who'd watched it sat there and thought, yeah, he's going to be something big. This is going to be something we should watch out for. Yeah, and guess what? We're all seeing exactly what else can happen now. I mean, with the Ring of Honor, he's now joined that. But previously, before that, he was now made his mark as Chaos member, which was insane, which was great to see. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Moving forward on to number 3, we go to New Japan, sticking straight there, and we're going to be. I'm looking at G1 Climax 26, something that happened this year, which I'm focusing my attention on day 18. Now, for fans who don't really understand G1 Climax or what the deal about it is a tournament that takes place between the July the 18th and August the 14th. Two different tables. The winners of each table meet up in the final. And you know what? We're taking this straight from day 18, which was Kenny Omega versus Yato, which was just a fundamental, amazing match. Now, what I'm going to be saying right now is it kicks off slow, like all good long matches do. They start off building up, but it really is a one-man upmanship of showing complete disdain and basic arrogance of both men. Like, what Nato basically tries to show off to Omega, who literally needs no introduction, of showing just how arrogant he can be, and they end up getting into a spit-off. That's basically actual words right out there. It's, I'll do a move, then I'll spit at you. You'll do a move, I'll then spit at you back. And it begins to, then that just builds up progressively, where Naito basically targets his left, Omega's leg throughout the match. And it's amazing the amazing selling, I would go and buy, I'm going to use that term, selling for Omega throughout the entire match, sells it. And he's still able to do all the big moves that he does, but at the same time, keeps the idea that his left leg is still injured from the work that Naito does on it. And both men fully elevated throughout the whole entire part. It was just elevated. That's the word. Easy for me to say, not how to pronounce. But it was certainly one of the best matches I've seen. I came away watching it this morning, just trying to get myself familiarized with it again. And the feeling afterwards doesn't leave you. And the fact is that Omega went on to win the tournament shows just how capable he is of doing something for that marathon type of tournament and still going on to win. And still people actually question whether the final match with Goto should be on top of this. Myself, personally, going straight for this match we're talking here, Naito versus Omega, certainly one to check out, certainly one to watch.
Cool, nice one, man. My number 3 is actually, this was a wrestling match that I thought really showed the evolution of WWE in the last few years, really ushering in the new era, and that was Cena versus Styles at SummerSlam. And first thing I have to say, it was really odd, like replaying SummerSlam this morning and then realizing that, oh wait, this was a 4-hour show and Cena versus Styles just kicked off the second hour. Like, this was only a quarter of the way into the pay-per-view, and yet despite that, because of the epic promo work by Cena, it felt like it was far more of a main event than any other match on the card, any of the championship matches, or even Randy Orton versus Brock Lesnar, which, let's face it, with that finish at the end, people probably... I don't remember anything about that match apart from Randy Orton taking a hardway juice job, as Jim Cornette called it. Back to Cena versus Styles, and yeah, I think I gotta talk about this one backwards in a sort of way, because I think the best thing about this one was the ending. Going in, Cena put so much of himself on the line, put so much of his reputation in those promos, said he was going to make Styles look ridiculous, said he loves this business, he was never going to quit, he'll quit when he's dead and things like that. And I just couldn't see WWE putting Styles, the new guy, the guy who was a star in another company, the guy who's the smaller guy beating out their big bodybuilding superstar. I couldn't see that happening. And then going in and Cena losing clean as well, no shenanigans, beaten in the middle of the ring by the better competitor, was just this amazing, like, shock, wow moment of catharsis. And it was actually really great to see him, Cena leave his armband in the ring, because it was almost like him putting all of that reputation stuff that he did in the promos beforehand, putting his money where his mouth was. Right, okay, I was beaten clean, I was beaten by somebody who I thought was a chump. Turns out he's actually one of the best professional wrestlers in the world. And so yeah. That was a really great moment. Apart from that, it's just this great... I mean, Cena gets a lot of stick. Cena gets a lot of stick for not being the athlete that other guys are, for not being able to carry a match like some of the other guys can, but I think he can do that. I think he's been able to do that for a few years now, and I think this should sort of cement Cena's... Okay, Cena got the spot of being the main eventer, the constant main eventer, probably before his skills in the ring earned it for him. But that doesn't matter anymore because his skills are there now. He's one of the best wrestlers in the company. He's one of the absolute best storytellers, I think, in wrestling's history in its entirety. And I think we need to leave this idea that we have about Cena not being a great in-ring competitor to history, and we need to move forward appreciating Cena for who he is and for what he represents. And especially if he's going to be facing The Undertaker at WrestleMania, which who knows how that match is going to turn out, but all I know is that Cena versus Styles was great. And Styles... I know I've basically focused a lot of this on Cena and how this was almost like Cena's funeral, but Styles was immense as well. Styles' athletic ability, this cleanness and the crispness with which he hit so many of the moves, and his high-flying skills. I mean, this guy is actually getting on. People forget that about him. He is no longer a spring chicken, and he still moves like he's 21 years old, and it's so great to see.
Yeah, man, it's definitely a testament of how well he's done. Is basically this match, in my mind, was literally a chance for him to prove to everyone, this is AJ Styles I'm referring to everyone, like your Vince McMahons, your anyone, any detractors who thought, oh, he's just the fly boy from TNA, the guy from New Japan, the guy from Ring of Honor, and he'll never fit into anything, he'll never fit into the W style. And for the period of time from Royal Rumble up until that point, there were some detractors on that sense from doing so, even though anyone had ever seen these matches beforehand. No, we knew it was going to be fantastic, and that was it. But yeah, this match itself, basically, it's another one of those matches which I've used this term a lot now, elevating. And that's the thing, it's basically elevating the stars, because even fans, diehard fans of John Cena, let's turn the head to that bit, where it's been over 10 years now where people have still ragged on John Cena, still said he can't wrestle. But you know what? In the ring, he can go. The thing is, many of the best matches, or at least in top 5, top 10, John Cena's been part of it. And no matter what anyone says, I mean, I still remember quotes where people turn around and say, at WrestleMania 10, Shawn Michaels wrestled a ladder when he was having the ladder match with Razor Ramon. You can all say whether John Cena has fought CM Punk at Money in the Bank, I think it was a few years ago, where he was facing Daniel Bryan, where he had that immense feud with Randy Orton a few years ago over the United title belts, which you had the World Wrestling title and then you had the heavyweight title. And the thing is, for someone to be on top for that long, and the thing is, he's not dropped down. And one thing that we should also notice as well, that he made the United States title, in my personal opinion, more relevant again, which was something which we hadn't seen before.
That series of matches he had for the United States title, WWE wise, if you don't discount NXT or the CWC, one of my favorite wrestling periods in the entire company for years and years and years.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, the fact is, we can sit there and go, he had amazing matches with Neville. He had amazing matches with, I think it was Sami Zayn as well. And then when Owens appeared and said, I want to challenge you. And then it was that great moment where Owens held up the NXT title and stamped on the title, the United States title, which you're just thinking, holy crap, that's amazing. And this all stemmed from John Cena being John Cena. Even the aftermath of this match, which we've seen there, where I still remember this quote in my head, where he was having the feud with Dean Ambrose, where he turns around and says, you know what, Dean Ambrose hates John Cena. John Cena doesn't care about Dean Ambrose. Which to me is just a men's side, and it's a whole entire different level of what we've seen from John Cena. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, heading on to that is basically something that's elevated him for the time that he's been there. He's been at that top level, and now we're starting to see a whole entire different side, in my personal opinion, of John Cena, in the sense of where even if he loses, he's still popular, he's still immense. And the detractors, we're all sitting there going, you know what? He's now John Cena. And that's the thing. It's great to see. But I'm ready to move on to number 2. You ready, my man?
I am ready to move on to number 2.
Going straight to a UK promotion here. Some of you may have heard it. It's Progress. Progress Wrestling, one of the finest promotions in the UK. There's about over 130 plus promotions in the UK, and Progress should be at least in your top 5 at least. Now, this year, they held Chapter 36. We're going to need a bigger room again, which happened in September, I believe it was. And the reason why this event was so special is that it was held for over 2,400 people in O2 Brixton, which was phenomenal for it to happen in London. Never before had such a big event happened. ICW did another show later on in November in Glasgow in the Hydro. So it was such a great thing. Myself, I was present at this event. It was one of the best events I've been to since I've been going to wrestling events, in fact. And the one I want to focus on was the champion Marty Scurll, the villain, the man, versus Tommy End, who's now joined NXT, and Mark Haskins. Mark Haskins, one of the best wrestlers I've seen, bar none, not to take anything away from Scurll or Tommy End. It was a phenomenal match. Basically, each one have had matches with each other. Progress fans galore we're all just sitting there going, this was immense. There was so much drama involved. There was Scurll joining forces with Tommy End joining forces with Haskins. There was basically, the ring couldn't contain it, and they fought all over the place. And the thing is, at one point where this is the climax here, and I would catch it on demand. That's Demand Progress for people out there. Check it out, because what happened was Scurll basically started going crazy at the end, basically hitting people with umbrellas. Could have been a disqualification. And all of a sudden, Jimmy Havoc, the man that had left previously, at this moment in time before he arrived, Scurll was ready to beat down the owner, Jim Smallman. And for fans who don't know the story between Havoc and Smallman, the two of them had a storied history of hatred. And basically, Havoc would torture, punish Smallman whenever he could. And when he left, that's Havoc, that is. Smallman extended his hand to him as if a sign of respect, and we'd never seen Havoc again after he was injured. And now he appeared to save Smallman from Scurll. And in doing so, amongst this drama, after Havoc hit him down, hit Scurll, that is, Haskins then took the victory. And it was a long-awaited victory for fans of Mark Haskins and Haskins himself, and it was just one of those feel-good moments, which you feel. I mean, I was saying this to Lee earlier, but this is the one. There's like the guy beside me grabbed me, I grabbed him. We're just utterly jumping for joy. The fact is that this had actually occurred, and it's for the fact is that wrestling can do this. UK wrestling, not just that, L wrestling, that they can actually do this. It just shows you how much of an impact it can have on fans across there, and definitely why it's my number 2. Lee, yeah.
My number 2 is the CWC, and before I say this, I could have made an entire list about the CWC. I absolutely love that tournament. I think honourable mentions, I should have said guys like Akira Tozawa versus Jack Gallagher, which reinvigorated my love of wrestling, because I've been a little bit fatigued, especially by mainstream WWE stuff in the last 6 months or so, 12 months, and CWC, Akira Tozawa versus Jack Gallagher, Gargano versus TJ Perkins versus Rich Swann. All of these great matches have just been so great, but the king of them actually came in the first round, and my favourite one was Johnny Wrestling versus Tommaso Ciampa. They are currently tag team champions in NXT. They were a tag team a long time in NXT before this match, and this is one of the best storytelling moments I have seen certainly in WWE in years. Probably the best storytelling moment I think I've seen since Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. Tommaso begins the evening reluctant to shake hands, and it's that simple gesture that sets off the match. Like him and his tag team partner, he doesn't want to shake his own tag team partner's hand, who he's currently going to be in the business of beating up, and he's just not playing around. In fact, he almost seems to be getting a sadistic pleasure out of everything. Johnny Gargano, he's starting off the match. He's got this, this very sort of showy-offy technical style, but Ciampa's style is just this no-nonsense, strong style, hard striking. The story is brilliantly told by WWE's best commentary team of Daniel Bryan and Mauro Ranallo. Their commentary work on this makes me think that they should take over every program on WWE. Maybe occasionally we'll get in Corey Graves every now and again, but I think these two could take on the entire company. So Tommaso is showing why he's the psycho killer. Mean, nasty moves that look like they've got hideous intent, but ironically it's the moment that he shows some empathy, shows some compassion, and decides to not hit his tag team partner with a strike with the knee after pulling down his knee brace so that he hits directly with a bone. It's when he actually pulls up the brace again so that Gargano won't be hurt, won't be injured by this move. And that is unfortunately the beginning of the end for him in this match, because Gargano, it's his superior wrestling skill, ironically, that actually does get him the win, because he's just tied him up in a roll-up. Ciampa cannot kick out of, cannot move. And then the post-match on this was so great as well, with Ciampa initially refusing the handshake, not being able to bring himself to shake the hand of the guy who, I mean, really, in reality, throughout this entire match, he looked like he had Gargano's number. Gargano looked like he had that glassy look in the eye, he had that 1,000-yard stare. He looked knocked out cold for almost the entire match. And so Ciampa cannot believe that this guy has beaten him, so he can't bring himself to shake his hands, but eventually he does step back into the ring. They hug it out, and it's that kind of heartfelt compassion that makes NXT and CWC programming actually a lot more exciting than WWE. WWE's policy at the moment is almost to straight up refuse to show like a compassionate side, and that's one of the reasons why I think the CWC and NXT exposes this, is one of the reasons why it can often feel so two-dimensional. I just thought this was a real, and the CWC in general, was just a real great return to basic storytelling, and in giving us that full depth of range of emotion rather than just the good guy versus bad guy dynamic.
Yeah, that's definite, man. Certainly, that is like WWE, as you say, in the mainstream WWE is certainly, it's looking like one storyline in that type of sense, where it comes like falls for that dynamic, where basically vulnerability, as you're saying, is something that most people do only see now on indie shows between some guys, and it's something that's lacking, because it helps fans get more into character and feels identifying with people. But yeah, definitely, man, definitely agree with that number 2 wholeheartedly. Do you want me ready to head into number 1?
Yeah, dude. So right, okay, Craig Hermit, what is your favorite match of 2016?
Now, this match, it's not a WWE match. It's going straight into Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. That's PWG. Now, this PWG this year, in my mind, has been one of the all-time promotions, especially at Bola. That was Battle of Los Angeles 2016. The tournament itself was amazing. Now, before I go into the match itself, some people have said that PWG is limited by social media, in the sense of where it doesn't jump on a lot of things. It doesn't do a lot of things that many social promotions do. But this is one of the things that we could easily say where this company's been around from 2003, and it's all by word of mouth, because quite frankly, this Bowler is just one of the best events I've seen in a long while, and that's through DVDs, Blu-rays, and through, like, even in the sense of it's just one of these things to go by word of mouth, because it's even by people that go to see it. I think Meltzer himself said that it's one of the best promotions, quite frankly, because he certainly did, because this match got 5 stars from himself, and it wasn't even involved in the tournament. Now, this I'm referring to is from night 2, is Will Ospreay, Ricochet, Matt Sydal versus the Young Bucks and Adam Cole. 6-person tag. Now, if there's one thing in my mind that ignited this whole entire thing of people having triple titles, triple championship titles and things, this could clearly be one of the prime examples of something you'd want to see happening. Because the match itself, it's basically 6 of some of the very best wrestlers in the world today, and they showcase it brilliantly. Adam Cole stand in the middle, either side it's the Young Bucks, and they're all doing the super kick party type thing. And then Ospreay, Ricochet, and Sydal mock them for it. And then the other side do the other bits. And it's one of those things that's just a fundamental great match. I mean, even after repeat viewing, because you've got somersaults, you've got everything that you've said earlier between Ospreay and Ricochet, times that by 3, in the sense of where you're going to have that, but the Young Bucks and Cole included. It's some of the greatest matches, some of the greatest sequences in a match I've seen for a while, half at all, because it's got bits with a somersault off the top rope. You've then got Adam Cole, who teases, it looks like he's going to do it, then goes, nah, I'm not going to do that. And it's just so well done. The near falls, even if everyone hits the finisher and things like this, and it wraps you up so easily into this match, where you start the match it starts like everything else. It starts where it slow builds, progressively gets higher. And the thing is, it doesn't know when to stop, and it keeps going. If the match was like a roller coaster, this would be it. I'm sorry, Anya. You know what? I was watching this. I managed to get this from High Spots UK DVD. That's another shout out, guys. But basically, managed to catch this one via that. And you know what? This match alone paid for the actual DVD itself, and it was so good to see. It was something that, you know what? If you went and invested in the tournament, you watch this and you go, this is amazing. Because plenty of times I've either been to other shows or I've seen other promotions that do the whole entire thing, go, well, these guys aren't in a tournament, so we're just going to throw this match together. And this was just something which I sat there, even now I sat there watching this afterwards, hyped up so much that the Hype Brothers couldn't put me in a jar and hold me. I tell you that. It was just such a good match. And it's something that if your number one top match doesn't have you feeling that way, then I quite frankly have to question why do you make that your number one? Because after watching something like this, if you don't feel inspired, you don't feel energized, you don't feel having that deep love for wrestling, and that's your number one match, and you don't have that, it shouldn't be your number one match. This is something that just you should be watching, or at least fans. This is the type of match that inspires other people to do it. In the sense of, there's flaws in it, don't get me wrong. People will turn around and say, you know what, exactly the same things you said, Lee, regarding ballet and things. You know what, there's some selling in it, there's some bits, but you know what, the excitement oversees that. Carry on, Lee, man, go for it. Hit us with your number one, my man.
Nakamura versus Sami Zayn, my number one match of 2016. Dallas, for me, was the WrestleMania of the WrestleMania weekend. Sod the pay-per-view that came up after it, which was a big disappointment from beginning to end, apart from the ladder match. But, yeah, Sami Zayn, there's not much I can say about this match, apart from just the fact that Sami Zayn was in my top 5 match of the year. He's in my number 1 match of the year. He's bookended this list for me. He's my favourite wrestler at the moment, which is why I'm heartbroken to hell how he's being booked right now. But, like, him versus Nakamura, and Nakamura is a force of nature. Like, so many guys have come into WWE who've had the potential, the momentum, and they've just fizzled out. I don't think that as hard as WWE might try, they'd ever be able to smother Nakamura's fire out. I can't see that happening. He's so charismatic. He's just, every movement, everything that he does is just geared towards creating the maximum entertainment possible for people. And I think he's going to be a world champion. I don't think it's going to be long for him to get that way. I think he's going to be the first, like, properly non-English, actually no, back in the day there were a few of them, but like certainly in modern times, the first properly non-English speaking world heavyweight champion. And Sami Zayn, I think he's got a good career ahead of him. I think the fact that there are 2 belts now, there's a Universal Championship and a WWE World Heavyweight Championship, will mean that probably one day he'll get title gold, but for now I think he has to settle for the US and the Intercontinental titles. Maybe they'll even send him back down to go to the Cruiserweight show and put him on 205 Live, which I wouldn't mind. I would like to see him wrestle a bunch of those guys. I would love to see him have a match with Rich Swann. I think that would be great. But but this match was just, it had the fluidity and the athleticism of Ricochet versus Will Ospreay. It had the storytelling of something like Gargano versus Ciampa. It had the spots of Cena versus Styles. It was just everything that I love about wrestling wrapped up into one. And that mantra that the crowd started chanting, "Fight forever." That is precisely how I felt about that match. I could have watched that for an hour. I could have watched it for 2 hours. I could have started that this morning, sat back in my bed right now, continued to watching it all the way up to now, and I'd still be in the blissful, happy space that I was 4 or 5 hours ago.
But yeah, that's exactly the feeling you should have with a number 1 pick, man. Definitely. I mean, in my mind, the thing is, you're absolutely right. In my mind, I'm thinking Sami Zayn reminds me of someone back in 1991. So the Bret Harts of those type of moments, where, see if he got the Intercontinental title, US title, something along those lines, he could elevate that. And you know what? See if they did something with that. Like right now, I'm going to be blunt and honest. I'm going to go a little bit off topic. Roman Reigns with the US Championship has done nothing for it. Put the damn title on someone like Sami Zayn.
Yes,
the amount
absolutely.
of matches he could have is immense. You know what? You were right. He might not be the world champion, universal champion at the moment. It will happen. There's no doubt about it. Someone of his caliber, 2 or 3 years from now, boom, can seal it, done. Even then, that Nakamura, you know what? I would love to see this type of thing happen, where it's like one of them moments where Nakamura gets drafted across. Boom, the 2 of them are in Raw. Excellent. Then the 2 of them 2 years from now are challenging for one of them being champion, one being a challenger. And they will look back at this match and go, you know what? This is what they had. And that was just for pride. Going forward, they're going for the title. And you know what? It's one of these things where it would be immense. Zayn at the moment, you know what? He did so well before, this is I'm talking about Zayn, where matches like Cesaro, he'd done brilliant with that. His matches with Kevin Owens previously before that, and fans of Zayn were in other promotions knew just how great he was. And he needed someone to hit that strong style of wrestling with, which of course embodies Nakamura, straight into who did everything he did in New Japan, and which was fun. It's just amazing to see. And the thing is, the two of them gelled so well, as you've said. Every move was done for full impact, high intensity, all types of cliches like that, and it was so great to have it done that well. The fact is, for having it in such a small venue, in the sense, I say small venue compared to say WrestleMania, for having a venue quite packed in the sense of with the NXT crowd who are so loyal, so emotional, it made that match a whole lot better for anyone watching at home as well, because we felt the impact, we felt everything they were feeling in the sense of just through them, and watching the crowd along the same ways were watching it brilliantly with us as well, and it was so good to see. An excellent choice, my friend, being number one, absolutely.
Oh yeah, I think we've got 10 matches there that are absolutely fantastic, and different matches, all of them as well. Oh wait a minute, Aztec Warfare. That was my honorable mention that I forgot about. Aztec Warfare, Lucha Underground. I'm glad you reminded me about Lucha Underground. Cool. Anyway, cool. So, Craig, where can we find you on social media?
Well, you can catch me on Craig Hermit on Twitter. You can obviously catch us on myself, basically on vulturehound.com. .co.uk. And basically, don't forgetting that we are going to be releasing a new Vulture Hound magazine, which should be coming out. We don't know what we're going to put in it yet, but we're certainly going to contain music, film, the whole 9 yards. And don't forget about SteelChair Wrestling magazine, which will be coming out, a new issue next year, which will be having an abundance of interviews, a whole bunch of other stuff as well.
Yeah, actually, I think David, our editor supreme, was hoping to get out the new Vulture Hound as we are recording this. Please, guys, look out for that. We are at SteelChair Mag on Twitter. Please find us at our home base of vulturehound.co.uk. Personally, I am at Fight Like a Cow. Thank you, guys. This has been a great podcast. Thank you, guys, for listening. Thank you, guys, for subscribing, for liking, for commenting. And I'll see you guys all next time.